Hello everybody, so nice to see. Well, that's not actually true. No. I can't see you, but I'm checking in the live chat and I see that there's lots of people engaged. on the channel, which is awesome. Welcome to Charisma Performing Arts' first ever live stream. Woof, woof. We are very excited. We're sitting in the brand new studio. Now, I must tell you, the studio was finished, like completed, last night at 10:30. So we did this all this week in like 4 days. We completed the whole thing just to be ready for you guys for today, and it's awesome. Say hello to Giannis.
What's up, guys? I'm so happy that that you're here. I can see the live chat here next to me going crazy. Lots of all our choir kiddies and some of our adults are here. Please interact with us. Remember, we're used to seeing you guys. We're used to talking to you. Even on a Zoom, we can at least see you and talk to you.
Yeah.
Now today, you have to talk to us via the live chat. We really want you to interact with us. Otherwise, it's just Mr. Bester and I, and it becomes pretty boring.
Especially when I
have to listen to Mr. Bester for an hour. So please chat to us. I can see all of that here on my side. So we'll give a shout out to some of you as we go along.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah,
yes, please tell us.
we want you to ask questions. Okay, so if you've wondered about anything, any part of our process, maybe you want to ask a question about Mr. Fenta or about me, something just about us and who and what we are, or where we come from, or whatever. And I'll be announcing soon that there's going to be a surprise regarding the questions. Okay?
Okay, just quickly.
Yeah.
I'm getting lots of people saying hi to us at the moment. So Isabella, how's it? Arnold is here. Nicole, hello. Jez, I'm happy that you're here, dude.
Yeah.
Arnold, Shiloh, I can see. Shannon is here. Carla is here. Marie, Talia, Kerry. So how's it, guys? We are so happy that all of you are with us today.
Absolutely. It's awesome. Awesome that you tuned in. It makes us feel loved, you know. No, but the truth is that we would love a lot of interaction, and we would love some feedback afterwards as well, because we are going to be doing this on a more regular basis, and there's lots of exciting things lined up for the future. And even as we were talking today and getting ready for this live stream, more and more ideas came. Like Danny, who's there. Say hi, Danny.
Hi, everybody.
Danny is there behind the scenes because he's the tech support and he's running the whole stream. But even Danny would go to the loo and then come back and say, "I've got a brilliant idea," and we're like, "Yeah, we have no doubt." So
It's my thinking place.
so there's lots of exciting things for us in the future, and it's very important that people like you tune in, engage, be part of the thing, and then also afterwards, give us feedback. Give us a call, send us a WhatsApp, or communicate on Discord. Even better, more on that later. But we would love your feedback, because we would like to keep improving what we do all the time. And it's very important that we know how you enjoyed, or what you didn't enjoy, what worked well for you, what didn't work well for you, etc. What you would like, maybe things that you would like us to do in the future or to try. We're happy to listen to suggestions and so on. All right, so
Okay, so just quickly, I have a really important question here. It's from Chocolate Lover.
Chocolate Lover
asking how old we are, and that's very important. I'm 21 and he is 65. Just so that you guys know.
That is an absolute lie. Okay, on a Saturday morning, it's unbelievable. This guy calls himself my friend, but then he just keeps going out about how old I am. I'm very wise. Okay, I'm mature. I'm not old. Okay, let's just understand that. So the truth is, I'm 49. Okay, looking like 29, 30. Giannis is, how old are you?
21, looking 21. Thank you very much.
Oh, you see, I'm being honest at least. Obviously.
All right, Mr. Bester, we have a lot to talk about.
Okay, we have a lot to talk about. That's true. All right, so who we are. Right, so most of you, I imagine that most people who are tuned in are members of our Charisma Choirs network, so you know who we are. But still, we'd like to tell people a little bit about ourselves, because Well, we are very interesting. No, we want to tell you about ourselves because, we like to relate to people. Jonas and I both are relationship people. The most important thing to us with our choirs is actually connecting with people. For us, it is all about you, your heart, who you are as a person, and then how through your musical gift and your singing and that, we can help you bring that out. So a little bit about me. This is not going to take long, okay?
Yeah.
Calm down. Oh my
The
God.
funny thing is, before we started here, Mr. Bester wanted to map out exactly what he wanted to say because he didn't know if we'd have enough to say. And Danny and I just stood there laughing at him because we know once he starts talking, we'll keep you here the entire day. So, Mr. Bester, my job is to keep you on point today.
Okay.
And to
Thank
make sure
you.
you don't talk too much.
Thank you, Jonas. That's very good news.
Now
Okay.
tell us who you are, please.
Okay, so who I am. So the basic thing that I want to tell you is my choir journey a little bit, because especially for the kids out there who are singing in our choirs, you know what, Mr. Fender and I both know that choir and being part of a choir actually can change your life. So for me, this happened at the age of 13 when I started singing it was then called the Oos-Transvaalse Jeugdkoor, the Eastern Transvaal Youth Choir. It is currently called the Mpumalanga Youth Choir. And a shout out to Mpumalanga Youth Choir, who will have a big reunion next year, which I'm going to be part of. It's going to be so exciting. But I was a 13-year-old boy. My voice was unchanged. I was an alto, a beautiful alto, in appearance and vocally, and very humble. That's very important.
So
Okay.
humble.
So that you remember that. But I came home from my first rehearsal. Oh, my conductor was Tannie Renette. Shout out to Renette Bouwer. Respect. Renette Bouwer, many of you will know her, is currently the conductor of the UJ Choir and has been for many years. But she is one of the big driving forces of choir music education in this country. She's internationally known, and I was so privileged that she was my first love of choir music. Because I came home that night from the rehearsal and my parents said, "Johanna, are you okay?" And I said, "Mom, you don't understand. That lady, she's amazing. She doesn't talk, she sings. She doesn't walk, she floats." So I won't carry on about that. But thank you to Renette Bouwer for giving me such an amazing experience as a youngster. And then the choir was taken over by Tannie Esme Solms.
Just before you carry on,
Yeah?
people that are relating to you here at the moment, Nicole says that choir has changed her life. Rebecca says choir has definitely been a blessing in her life. So I
Fantastic.
think that's exactly what we strive to do.
Yeah.
The choir experiences we had as children and growing up as young people, we want to bring across to you guys.
Yeah.
Choir changed both of our lives entirely. And if we manage to change 2 or 3 lives in what we do, then it's all worth it.
Exactly.
Sorry,
No,
you may
thanks.
carry on.
No, that's good. Thanks for your comments, guys. It's awesome. And then I went on to study in Potch at what is now called Northwest University. And I had the privilege to sing in the Potch University Choir for 3 years under the direction of Avi van Wyk, Professor Avi van Wyk. Shout out to Avi. Also a huge input into my life. Avi taught us so much about having a passion for life, not just for singing. And I was just exposed to so many amazing things during that time. Oh, also with my youth choir in Matric, when I was in Matric, it's not that long ago, our choir went on a European tour. And for about 90% of our choir at that stage, remember this is late 80s, for about 90% of us, that was our first time ever on a plane, first time ever leaving the country. So it was super exciting. And when I was in Europe, I'll never forget that moment. I walked in a small town called Viterbo outside Rome. And I looked at the cobblestone streets, and the guide was telling us these cobblestones were laid here about 1,500 years ago, 1,500 years ago. And I just had a moment where I thought, wow, this is where my roots are. This is where my pre-fathers, what do you call it? My ancestors, that's the word. This is where my ancestors come from. And I just felt like a connection to the whole Europe thing. It was life-changing. And I thank my parents and I thank my choir people, the choir's organizational team for taking me on that tour, because it really did change my life. So anyway, back to Potch University Choir. That was awesome. Met some incredible people. Some of those people are still friends to this day because there's a connection.
Yes.
People like us, we understand each other in a different way. That is not just the normal interpersonal way, but there's a deep, I think it has to do with the fact that when you sing, you are giving of yourself. You're putting yourself out there. I mean, some of you will know, some of you have gotten on stages to sing solos, right? Maybe in a competition or a Stetford or something. Or, and when you stand up there and everybody's looking at you, you feel so vulnerable, because that's what singing does. Singing is, I'm opening my heart and I'm telling you exactly who I am and what I feel and how I want to express what I feel. And I think it's that vulnerability and the emotional effect, or the effect that the music has on our emotions. I mean, I remember singing double choir Mendelssohn motets and Bach and stuff, music like that just totally makes you feel what?
No, I'm laughing at a comment here.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Makes
some
you
people,
feel like you want to take off and just go to heaven.
Some people join choirs to meet their spouses and best friends. Coming
Okay.
from Anu.
Okay, nice, Anu. Yeah, I know you met your wife in a choir. Yeah, so I didn't meet my wife in a choir. But that has nothing to do with it. The point is, those days in the youth choir and in the university choir just was absolutely awesome. Tell them about your Tannie Renette Bouwer connection.
Well, yeah, just as it happens to be, I started my choir journey also with Tannie Renette Bouwer, and there's lots of love for her. And that was in the primary school choir of Laerskool Helderkruin. Now, the funny story is, I wasn't initially chosen as an outright member of the choir. I auditioned for the choir, and Tannie Renette made me a provisional member of the choir.
Wow.
To be re-auditioned again after 3 months, which was a huge knock for my ego at that stage.
Your 10-year-old or what? How old were you? Like 11 maybe?
I was around 10, 11, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And obviously the 3 months came and gone, and I was a permanent member of the choir. But the point is, some of us have a rocky start. If I, at that stage, decided, you know what, choir is not for me, I didn't make it into this choir outright, I'm going to quit, I would not have been here today.
Exactly.
So sometimes we have a bit of a rocky start. Sometimes we have a bad audition. Sometimes our voice just doesn't feel lekker. It's just not our day. And the important thing is just to keep going for it and just to work through it.
Yeah.
But then after Laerskool Helderkruin with Tannie Renette, I joined Hoërskool Florida. And our choir started only when I was in grade 10, and that was by a person called Johan van der Sant, who then, loads of respect, who then took over the Tux Camerata choir. And Johan was only with us for about a year, and it was an incredible journey with him. And the next moment we heard he's leaving us. And we were all hugely disappointed. We'd just grown accustomed to him, and we were working really well. And we heard, well, Johan van der Sant is leaving, but our choir will be taken over by a guy called Johan as well. And we were all a little bit hesitant and a little bit unsure. And the next moment, this man walks into the hall, and he is my new choir conductor. So the majority of my choir knowledge comes from Mr. Bester, who was my conductor when I was in high school.
Thank you.
It was a rocky start, but I got there.
Sis, man. No. Yeah, so that's a really interesting story how Johannes and I met, where I was his choir conductor, teacher, and he was a boy, even though we were just like 11 years apart, but when you're in school and somebody else is out of school, it sort of feels like there's a huge gap. But yeah, and I must say, not to embarrass Johannes, but I've told the story so many times. I have been talking about him for many years, 20 years and over. you know, when you have those kinds of discussions with other music people and you talk about gifted young people that you've worked with, I so often mention him because I still think he's one of the most gifted people I've ever met. And he was just an awesome guy to have in the choir because he was naughty. I found out later.
I was exceptionally well behaved. Thank you very much.
That is a lie. Okay, so I thought he was well behaved. And now, as adults and as friends, he tells me all sorts of horror stories, which he will not repeat on this live chat because I don't want to give any one of you any ideas, okay? But he was very naughty. But anyway, he was an awesome member to have in the choir. Sang some solos for me. It was a great time. It was also a real time of growing for me because I was a very young conductor. And
you still had lots of hair then.
I had hair. I had a bob.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, my bob was amazing. I could like do this to my hair. I know it's hard to believe for those of you who've only recently gotten to know me, but I had beautiful hair, okay? I still have beautiful hair, just not me.
6 of them, yes.
All 6 of them are fantastic. So anyway, so that's a bit of our journey. And then I also had the privilege, I must say, while I was at university, I auditioned for the SABC Chamber Choir, which doesn't exist anymore, but they were led by Richard Koch. Lots of respect. Richard, we love you, what you've done for music and for choral music in this country, for the development of the arts. Huge respect. So I became a freelance member of the SABC Chamber Choir and did a few projects with them. That was incredible. Like, I thought I was pretty good at sight reading, okay? So what they would do is they would dish out the books, brand new pieces of music. He would go to the piano and just do this, biddlinks, and they would all get their note from there, and then he'd say, ready, go. And then he starts conducting, and that whole choir sight reads that whole thing from beginning to end. And I was like, you know, which page am I on? Is that a sharp or a flat? So it was a great time of growing for me as well. So I think very fondly of those days. Yeah, so that's basically my choir singing history. And then you also sang in the West Rand
Youth Choir.
Yeah.
With Tani Pietra. Also a big shout out to Tani Pietra.
Yeah.
Lots of love to you.
Yeah. So Pietra was still actually the head of music at Florida Hoërskool when I took over the choir there from Johan van der Sand. So I've come to know her as well. She also was someone who really influenced. You know what, guys? The reason we're talking about this now is I want you to understand that if you're a youngster, you are the sum of everybody who's ever influenced you. That, unfortunately, includes television programs and movies and games. Music that you listen to, exactly. Everything you listen to and watch, and every person you listen to has an influence on who you become. So Johannes and I both just are talking about these people in our past very fondly because they are in varying ways and in different ways such a part of who we became as musicians, as educators.
Yes.
Because at our heart we are educators. We are entertainers as well, but I think primarily we love seeing the gold in you and trying to bring it out, you know, through choir music. So yeah, lots of love to all these people who had an effect in my life and in Johannes's. Now,
I just have to say this. Shiloh says she can't imagine you with a bob, and she can just see George Washington for some other reason. And I thought that's brilliant.
Don't know whether I should be offended at that.
Good job, Shiloh. I'm proud of you.
Shiloh, I used to like you. No, I still do. I still do like you. You are lovely. But I'm a little bit... I'll go and look at some pictures of George Washington again, because I'm confusing it with Bach, who had a big nose, which has nothing to do with me at all. So if you said Bach, I would have been happy, actually, because his name was also Johann. Like, I'm back to the... It's you. Yes. You distract me with your Shiloh's comments with my Bob.
Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
So we have... Currently, between the two of us, we are leading 12 choirs.
Yes, what a life.
And we love our life, but it's we'll talk about how things change and how it's become very hectic for us. But let's just give a shout out to our choir. So at Kiro Aurora, we have 2 choirs there. The primary school senior choir, led by Mr. Fenter, and the high school choir, led by me. So shout out to you guys. Love you. Love working with you. Kira Aurora here in Randburg.
That was, by the way, the first choir I conducted. Was my Kira Aurora choir.
That's true.
Yes.
And that's also when you and I reconnected, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah,
we'll
that was your first choir, yeah.
Oh, we have Kira Aurora saying hi to us here on the chat feed.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Right, and then there is the Afrikaans Laerskool Fairland, just like 1.6 k's from me here in Fairland, also in Randburg. So there's a junior choir there consisting of grade 1 to 3 learners and a senior choir consisting of grade 4 to 7. So hallo al die Fairland maatjies wat kyk, ons hoop julle is daar. Julle moet 'n bietjie vir ons comments los en ons kan sien julle is daar. And then we have another Afrikaans primary school.
Yeah, my Laerskool Horizon. And I can see lots of chatter here from Laerskool Horizon.
Awesome.
Hallo julle. Ek mis julle net so baie. Lots of people are saying on the channel here that they miss us. And we're glad to see that you guys miss us as much as we're missing you.
Yeah.
Remember, you are such a big part of our lives, and we put so much of who we are into our choirs that not being able to see and work with you at the moment is really, really tough on both of us.
Yeah.
But yes, we miss you guys way too much as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Laerskool Horizon's a senior choir. And then at the King's School Robin Hills, Mr. Fenter conducts 2 choirs, a primary school choir, grade 3 to 6s, and a high school choir, grade 7 to 12, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we've been working with the King's School now for about 2 or 3 years, and they've just taken off the support. Shout out to Gerda and Petra and everybody at Robin Hills for just welcoming us in and seeing the potential.
Hannah from Fairland says hello. So Fairland is on here as well. Yes.
Lekker, Anna. Lekker. So we've got them, and then
2 choirs at King's. Did you say 2 choirs at King's?
I did.
Yes.
While you were distracted by the chat.
Lots of people from King's saying hi as well.
Fantastic. That's awesome. And then there's another high school choir that we currently work with called De La Salle Holy Cross College down in Victory Park. Also here in Joburg, obviously. High school choir there that we work with. And then last year, I decided it is time for me to do something that I've been dreaming of for a long time, which is start to build my own choir organization. So we advertised and we...
You forgot 2 very important choirs, Mr. Bester.
What? Oh, Jeppy! I skipped Jeppy by accident.
And
it's written right there.
Our Jeppy boss on here saying how privileged she is to have the 2 of us working with her choirs.
So we must talk about them.
You have to mention Jeppy.
I'm so sorry.
Please.
That was slight. It's written right there. I just accidentally, glazed over it.
He's a bit nervous, but don't worry.
So we have 2 choirs at the Jeppy High School for Girls. Yay! Jeppy Girls, I just wish you would have taught me that song already. Jeppy Girls, na 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 na. I don't know the words. Jeppy Girls. Because
you're not supposed to sing here.
Because sometimes why?
The mic.
Oh.
Be gentle.
Because sometimes I feel that Jeppy Girl spirit, even though I'm a boy. I have loved working at the Jeppy High School for Girls. Started there in the beginning of 2017. One of my best mates of all time. Shout out to Juffrou Dokter, soos Johannes haar noem, Elise Kruger, one of the most accomplished concert pianists in South Africa. Also one of my best friends from varsity days. Brilliant musician, brilliant administrator. She runs an exceptional music department at Jeppy Girls. So Elise, love you. Both of us, and Danny, he's throwing kisses. Well, not really, but still.
Waving.
So she said, Johan, you must come and help. My choir conductor cannot continue. And so I started there, and it was strange in the beginning. I was like, so much estrogen in the room, okay? I've never worked with girls only. It was really scary. Like I felt, girls, I'll just let you know, maybe I've never told you this, but I was way intimidated by y'all, okay? But then we built a beautiful relationship, and it is one of my favorite places on earth that I've ever worked at is the Jeppy High School for Girls. So then we developed so quickly. So I decided to rename the choir instead of saying the JP High School for Girls Choir, I found a Zulu word, ufume, which means flourishing. But that actually came after the junior choir. So anyway, then I thought, we have so many grade 8s, new people coming into the school wanting to sing, that actually if we put all of them in our choir, we're going to have a significant percentage of them who know nothing, and then others who have been taught for a year or 2 or 3. So I thought about this plan that they are following at other big choir schools in the country, like Office Macy's and others, where they have like a junior choir even in high schools, like a training choir and then a performance choir and even chamber choir. So there's lots of possibilities if you have the support of your management, like we definitely do have. Shout out to Dina Gonzalez and the governing body of JEPI for absolutely seeing the value in the performing arts and supporting it. But anyway, so I said to them, we need a junior choir, and then they were like, okay, but when are you going to do that? And I'm like, I don't have time, but I know a guy, and it's this guy. So I introduced Giannis to them, and they decided to appoint Giannis. So when was it? Last year, beginning of last year,
end of the year before last,
2018. Yeah,
end of 2018. Yeah.
You started there with the audition process. And then
straight into Christmas carols.
Yeah, that was cool, eh? So we decided to call that choir Izimpande, which means roots. So that's our junior choir. It's grade 8 and 9 ladies from JP Girls, and then Uhlume Flourishing. So it's great because we went on camp this year before everything changed and we were still allowed to go on camp. We went on a choir/orchestra camp. We took like 140 girls on camp. Lot of estrogen, but by now we were used to it. So we had our junior choir at the camp, we had our senior choir at the camp, and we had our orchestra at the camp. It was incredible. So yeah, so we love the JP Girls, and then we got to the charisma choirs.
Yes.
Yeah. So thanks for bringing me back.
It's a
even
pleasure.
Just with the twinkle in your eye.
Yes.
So I advertised and auditioned and launched the Charisma Children's Choir. So that's an upper primary choir for 10 to 13-year-olds. And we started with a great group of young people who recorded something recently, which we're going to tell you about in a little bit. I think we're going to run out of time. You were right. I talk too much. My wife never says that. So she doesn't.
Mr. Bester.
Okay, so
stick to your script.
So the Charisma Children's Choir. And then I thought my goal is to have a choir organization where people can sing from the age of 6 to the age of 85. Okay. So the goal is to build the Charisma choirs into a whole community where you can sing literally from when you're little to when you're old. So we started the Children's Choir, and then shortly after that, in January of this year, we launched the Charisma Singers. So that is like an adult choir. And currently the Charisma Singers online, which we'll talk about as well later, is for 14 years and older. Eventually, I would love to have a youth choir.
Yes, very much.
Yeah, if we have enough
Very,
high
very
school
much.
age singers who would like to, because that's a unique sound, isn't it? And it's a unique identity. Love the energy that teenagers bring to music and to the dynamic of things. So yeah, lots of different. So we have probably 600 people singing in our choirs in total. All of y'all. It's such a privilege for Giannis and me to work with all of you. All right, so what's the time, Mr. Wolf?
1:30, Mr. Bester.
Yeesh, I'm not even off page 1.
I know.
I haven't
which
even
is-
completed page 1. I have so many pages of stuff I want to say.
At least you guys know Mr. Bester by now. You know that once he starts talking, he just
Very
doesn't
difficult.
stop.
Yeah.
We're still at the introduction part.
That's true.
We need to get to where we now. We need to show them things.
Okay.
The chat's going crazy. People want to see what we've
What
done.
about us?
Yes, there's lots of people asking here. They want to see about this little project we've
Okay.
mentioned earlier. So
Okay.
let's show them something. We
Okay,
need to start talking.
Okay, so shall I skip the where did it all start part?
Yes, please.
Actually, no, I did that already, except I forgot to talk about Noah's Ark. I was going to say when Noah's Ark docked on that mountain and I got out, that's where everything began.
That's how old he is.
That is exactly how old I am, okay? And I'm also going to get that old, 600 years or whatever Noah did. So I'm going for that. So we must tell people how we reconnected.
Yes.
So I visited a friend,
A friend.
who now is my wife, and she lives in a complex, and across the road in the complex lived a guy whom I met because somebody was working in his garage doors. Too much detail, but it's actually a funny story. So, no, it's good. So this guy and I chatted, and afterwards, like half an hour later, he came back over here and he said, "Johan, what's your surname?" And I said, "Bester." And he said, "No way, I sang in your choir in Hoërskool, Florida." And so his name is Ferdi Venter, and he's the brother of Janus Venter. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, where's Janus?" And he said he lived close by.
Wait, you're giving shout outs to everyone. So just shout out to my brother as well. Would be really nice.
Shout out to Ferdi.
Hello, Boetie.
Hello, Boetie. Thanks for reconnecting Janus and me by living in the right place. Okay, we are very happy about that. You chose well where to live. So anyway, and then Janus and I met up after 20 years of not seeing each other. And it was so surreal to me because you know how you remember someone the way you last saw them?
Yes, I remembered you with hair.
Exactly. And I remembered him being a very nice, polite, in his sort of place, young man.
Just like I am now.
Yeah, as if. But anyway, so it was just lovely to meet him and just connect as, you know, as adults and become friends. And we have become very, very close in the last 5 years.
Isabella says we must make a book. She likes our stories.
I am going to write a book.
Oh, please, no.
Yes.
No.
And a podcast.
Hanu says
Honey,
we should do a monthly installment.
I agree.
So
Yeah,
that
every
could
2 weeks.
really be
Yeah.
a very... if you guys enjoy what you're seeing, if you
Yeah.
like connecting with us,
Yeah.
please give us a shout out on here. Maybe we can start doing this way more regularly.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because we like to talk. Well, some of us. Anyway, so back to the book, the plan. So yeah, Janus and I connected in, what was it, 2015? 16, probably.
I don't think that's really important.
I'm just trying to remember the details. Okay.
Stick to the script.
Okay, there is a script. So. Okay, so in the meantime, I lived in Australia. I must just say that. I lived in Australia for 12 years and then came back to South Africa in 2014. And yeah, I'm just trying to get to where we are today, right? So that's important. So I started helping out my old connections from my previous season of being a choir conductor here in Joburg and Gauteng. And I started helping choirs and writing music for them. And then I saw an opportunity actually, because I was like, what can I do with my experience and my skill to make a real contribution? You know, things changed in South Africa in the 12 years that I was away, and lots of new people came onto the choir scene, etc. So, and then I saw that there's really a gap for me to help school choirs, and that it really was my heart to help people at grassroots level who have been tasked with a choir, but maybe have not had a lot of input or training. There's not a lot available. So I started a choir consulting business, and I ended up within 2 years, I had 13 choirs on my roster that I helped. And then I started to become the conductor of choirs. And so it was just a crazy wild ride in the last 5-6 years. And I want to thank every school and every person who included me, you know, and gave me an opportunity. And some of them have come and gone, but some of them are still here, like Laerskool Horizon, like Laerskool Fairland. People who've just journeyed with us for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's been a fantastic journey. So,
Sorry,
Yeah.
an important question here
yeah.
from John O'Neill, asking if people will be able to watch this if they miss the live stream or miss part of it. And yes, you definitely will. We're going to upload it to our YouTube channel as soon as we're done here. So you will be able to watch this if you've missed it. And if you really want to, you can watch it again if you want to listen to Mr. Bester talk for another hour.
Yes, you see, this is what happens at night when you are anxious and afraid and semi-depressed. You turn on the live stream replay, you look at my beautiful face, and then you'll feel so much better straight away.
And you will fall asleep immediately.
Very quickly, you see.
And maybe have nightmares.
Yes.
You will not have nightmares, unless, Shiloh, if you dream about the Bob and the whole Washington connection, you might have nightmares. But actually, I looked very good in my Bob, just saying. I wore an Alice band once.
Yes, yes.
Actually, it wasn't an Alice band. It was like a bandana thing, but it looked cool. It was for a show, okay? Stop judging me. Oh my gosh.
I'll find a photo. I'm sure I still have a photo at home somewhere, and I'll post it on here. I promise.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Hopefully, during our next little session, I will show you guys a photo of what he used to look like with his bob.
When I was a boy, I was beautiful. Anyway, so
Very long time ago.
a long time ago.
Okay, script.
So
Mr. West,
yeah,
script.
so we went into consulting, and then Jonas and I started working together. He was a full-time teacher at that stage. 2 years later, he became a full-time choir conductor. So that's how my business grew to the point where there's only so many hours in a week, only so many after school hours that choirs can rehearse in and so on. So Jonas came on board, and we were able to service more choirs, which is awesome. So up to...
Is that it?
No.
Is that all you're going to say about me joining this team?
He had reasonable success, so I'm happy. Basically happy with his performance, I guess. That's what.
It's okay.
It's
Sure.
okay. It's,
Sure.
the hair, the clothes, the attitude, the judgment and criticism.
I feel very unloved.
No. He knows that I love him a lot, and he's doing an excellent job. So
I am basically the new version of him. I am like
new and improved.
taking.
Is that what you wanted
yes,
to say?
yes.
Actually,
I am taking choir to the next level. I'm like choir 2.2 or
2.0.
or version 2.0. Yeah.
Whatever.
So-
Okay, so together we are better. Okay, can we say
yes.
that?
Yeah,
Can we
we've
agree?
got the history and we've got the future. So
the past and the future. Okay, there we go. So anyway, so up to the end of 2019, we serviced 16 choirs between us, and this was all what we can call community choirs, which means people who meet as a community in a room once a week or whatever to rehearse, and that was the way that choir has always been. I mean, since choirs began in like the Middle Ages and the Renaissance especially, that's what choirs were, and that's what we were used to, meeting with our choirs, the energy in the room, we love that. That's the thing that we miss the most.
yes,
Is
definitely.
the energy of 60 or 80 young people, or a group of people in a room, and just
all those personalities, all those musicalities together.
yeah.
And the moment they start singing, something just changes.
Nothing is
It's
quite
just-
like that on earth, actually.
No, and it will never be.
No. There's nothing like it on earth when 60 people or however many are united in purpose, in heart, and then the combined creativity of every singer. That's what makes it so beautiful and so powerful. So anyway, then last year I was sitting with my coffee one morning and I saw on YouTube, I was on my phone on YouTube, and it says create a channel, and I was like, okay, is it that simple? I pushed a few buttons and I had a YouTube channel. I was like, oh my gosh, I guess I better put something on the channel. So what I did was I just uploaded something that was on my phone, which was the JP High School for Girls singing in the Linder Auditorium with Richard Cox Orchestra. But it was pretty poor quality because it was just like a cell phone shot, video. But I just started my little channel that way, and all the while thinking I really need to create really good quality content. And that is when one day we were visiting our friends, the Zotendijks, Alan and Natalie. And before we left, we had a coffee, and before we left, she said, oh, you must come and see Danny's new show reel. So Daniel is their son, and I've known him because they are friends. And I watched his show reel that he showed us there in his room, and I had this like moment of, oh my gosh, here is my solution. Here is a creative young guy who knows what's going on in the world, a real 21st century, baby person. You're not a baby, but a millennial, and so creative and so skilled. And so Danny and I started a conversation about how would he feel like collaborating with me and whatever. And our very first combined project that Danny and I did together was the Sing and Harmonie Gauteng finals at Gold Reef City in the Lyric Theatre last year with Laerskool Horizon.
Yes, lots of love from Laerskool Horizon on the screen at the moment.
Fantastic. Laerskool Horizon Senior Choir last year went to the finals, and we decided to do a documentary style sort of video that day. We started here at my house. You should go and watch it. It's on the channel. If you've not watched our videos, please go. I'm on there. So it's very, very beautiful and entertaining and funny. Okay,
If
soon
you
we'll
want to
have...
see something good, rather go watch my videos.
He is in some videos. So
They are the most popular ones in any case.
Yeah, go and look at them. That's fine.
All right, keep going.
So anyway, so we did that video, and then we went there and we did the warm-up time and the stage. What do you call it? Stage?
Sorry.
Yeah, don't be so distracted. What is the thing you do? Sound check. The sound check, and then the choir sang, and we had a beautiful video. And then Danny and I started working together sort of more frequently, and now it's full-time.
Yes.
And just as well, because now, what has choir become?
Yeah.
Is
I think we finally reached the present part
yeah.
of your
And
entire introduction.
It only took me 41 minutes.
40 minutes, yes.
That's incredible. It's a
So,
world record.
I want to show them something. Let's get to the show part.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have a couple of very exciting things lined up to show you guys on here today. So
Yeah.
if I can get him to hurry up, we can show you guys some things. So,
Okay.
come, Mr. Bester.
So suggestion, the showing is on my next page. So how can we get there quicker?
Skip it.
Skip it. Well, we have to talk about how online choir came about,
Yes,
right?
please.
Because
Yeah.
That's important.
Yes.
yeah, so when everything changed in March, you know what I'm talking about. What we thought was going to be a 3-week bonus, maybe break, became actually a new way of
yeah.
doing.
New way of life.
A new way of life, anyway, for all of us. I mean, who of us haven't felt the massive effect of how the world is changing, right? So, but also in our business, we were like, oh my gosh, how do we have choir when we cannot meet with our choir, when we can't rehearse and whatever? And so we bought microphones and we downloaded software and we started teaching ourselves how to use recording programs and mixing and whatever. And Jan's become quite an expert in mixing choir vocals together. But then we started investigating the whole thing of, okay, how do we keep our choirs going? How do we make them sing at home? Excuse me, because normally we'd have them together for 2 or 3 hours once a week and we make them sing, right? And we teach them what we want them. So how do you teach them remotely? And it was quite a journey for us, guys. We had to make a massive mindset change. Totally new ground for us, as for many of you, most of you, I guess. And so we started recording rehearsal tracks, right? So instead of now playing the piano in the rehearsal so the altos can learn their part and the tenors and the sopranos, we had to record rehearsal tracks, even adding vocals to it so that people can now practice at home. So how it works is you practice at home, you rehearse your part, and then you have to send in a recording, right?
Sure. And then what?
You tell us what happens next.
Well, the biggest challenge is to get a good recording.
Yeah.
And to get enough of them, obviously, because we can't really do much. Oh, our work can't start until we have all of your recordings. From there, we start. Well, initially we give feedback on your recordings, and that's what takes up most of our time in a week. Listening to all of your recordings and giving you feedback, saying, "Please do this, try that, awesome job." And just how
Closer to
make-
the mic.
closer to the mic, further from the mic.
Phone, whatever they record with, yeah.
And only then, once we have our final recordings, then the real fun can start.
Yeah.
And that's when we start putting things together. I do my mixing myself. Mr. Bester, a big shot to what is Henry? Aiden Henry.
Our friend
Big
Henry
shout out
Hollander, who is an excellent recording engineer who does all the mixing, for my
He
choirs.
does Mr. Bester's mixing, and then we start putting things together so that it sounds like all of you are in the same room.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah. So that's like a rehearsal process, but
Yes.
it's at home. So you sing and rehearse by yourself. We still give you feedback. Actually better than with community choir in the sense that now you get individual feedback. Like at the choir, we would just hear
Yes.
generally this and that can change. But now I can go, Hannah, that was good. But look at page 5, bar 72, your intonation there, or take a breath here or whatever. And so individual singers can develop and grow so much by getting our feedback. What did you see?
Something here that we need to address is Nicole saying it sounds so weird to only hear yourself. And a couple of people have said that. Now, why is that, Mr. Bester? Why is it so strange to hear yourself on a recording?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, I've got a good answer for that.
Okay, give us the short version.
I'll give you the
short answer.
The short version is, until somebody teaches you and me about our voice and about how to listen to our own voice, we only ever hear it in one way. When you hear your voice recorded and you go, yeah, that doesn't sound like me. Yeah, that is you. That is what you sound like. All right. So what we try to do, and this is something I've actually sort of worked out myself, because when I was in choirs as a kid, I was always told, listen to the people next to you when you sing in a choir, which has some value. But the point is, if you can't listen to yourself, if you cannot hear your own voice, in other words, well, obviously you hear your voice, but if you can't accurately assess the sound that you make, how can you blend in pitch, a tone match, any of that kind of stuff with the other singers?
Hey, Aidan Henry is here.
Fantastic.
It's nice to see you, dude.
Yeah. So I started shifting my focus on this about 10, 12 years ago, when I started to realize I have to teach people to hear their voice correctly. That's the main thing. So all the guys have found, all the kids who have really engaged, all the singers have really engaged in this process, have found that they actually get used to it, hearing themselves, and then they start to improve so much.
Yes.
Because now they hear everything that is not so great, and they make it better. They learn how to. Yeah, it's actually beautiful.
The amount of growth that I'm seeing in my individual choir members at the moment, working with recordings, can't even compare to how it was previously.
Absolutely.
In terms of the growth. What took us a whole year last year in terms of your sound quality now takes us 3 months. So the people engaging in this process are really, really growing at an incredible rate. Yeah.
And the rest of you who have not engaged, please get in with this, because this is actually an incredible process.
Some people saying in the chat here, when they listen to the recordings, they cringe. That's perfectly normal. Still send it to us. I think a lot of people are recording themselves, hear it, and then decide not to send it. Send it to us. If you don't even listen, or if you don't like what you're hearing, that's okay. Send it to us. We'll give you the feedback. But it might very well be a recording that we could use.
Yeah, absolutely. Remember also that because we work with your singing digitally, there's a lot we can do to make it sound amazing. But yeah, I think Jonas is right. Don't think your recording is not good enough. Just do it. Just send it. Let us tell you how you can improve it. Remember, all of you were chosen for our choirs because you can sing. We chose your musical gift. We chose your voice. We chose you as a person. So you are just as good a member of the choir now as you were previously.
Yes.
You just have to get on board, hey?
Okay, Mr. Bester. It's 10 to 12.
That's
I'm going to have
shocking.
to put my foot down now and say we need to show them something. So say what you want to say. Let's get to our first video, please.
Can I just say about the reward? I should say that.
Say the reward.
Okay, say the reward, but keep it snappy.
Okay, so we've decided on this live stream, we're going to give away a cash prize of $500 to the person who asks the best question. Okay, so after we've watched the video in a few minutes, we're going to take questions. Okay, you must, if you ask a really good question, the team here, we will decide who asked the best question, and you will be winning 500 rands courtesy of Charisma Performing Arts, just for asking a really, really good question. Okay, so don't ask stupid questions. Okay, good questions. All right, so we started with this whole thing, and then I took my Charisma singers as a sort of a
trial run.
A trial run, yeah. I said to them, "Are you willing to be guinea pigs with me?" And we took a piece that we started learning before when we were still a community choir, and we just took this piece. It's a short piece, so we're going to show you the video in a minute, and we just turned it into a virtual choir video. So after the audio, once we finally get good audio from everybody, like you've practiced for a few weeks and whatever, then everybody filmed themselves at home with their phone.
Yeah.
And we tell them how, because every virtual choir video will look a little bit different based on the music and the people in the song and whatever. And then we just said to them, okay, film yourself like this at home. And Danny and I put it together, and Henry treated the audio. And this was our very, very first ever try at a virtual choir video. Have a look.
Viva la musica, 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 la musica, viva la musica, viva la musica, la musica, viva la musica, viva la musica, la musica, la musica, la musica. Viva la musica, 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 la musica, viva la musica, viva la musica, la musica, la musica, la musica, viva la musica, viva la musica.
All right, so Mr. Bester underestimated how long or how short Viva la Musica was. He ran down the steps very quickly, and I can hear him stomping up here at the moment. So we thought we'd start with me so long. And we're going to now go to some of the questions that you guys had. And so far, a very cool question that popped up was, where did choir start? What's the history of choir? Who started the first choir, Mr. Bester? Do you know where choir came from?
I don't know exactly.
Okay, more or less.
Okay, but whose question is that?
I'm going to get to that in a moment.
Okay.
Actually, quite a couple of people asked it. Annalisa Goovy asked that, amongst other people, is where did choir start?
How are we going to remember who asked the question?
You need to write it down, Mr. Bester.
What's her name?
Annalisa Goovy.
Okay. Annalisa
Uh-huh.
Goovy. I don't know how to spell that.
Nicole says Viva la Musica was incredible.
Okay, the
Nicole
origin.
How long it took to edit? Danny, how long did your edit take for Viva la Musica?
Sure.
8 hours? 10 hours?
Once we have
Yeah,
everything together,
probably.
about 10 hours worth of pure editing. So that's
Yeah.
after we have the video and the audio, everything, and that's only on the video. That's not the sound yet. The sound probably takes another week's worth of editing.
Yeah.
If I do one of my choir mixes, it takes me about 1 week, 8 hours a day to get one song done,
Yeah, exactly.
more or less.
And Viva la Musica, as you could see, was very short, like less than a minute's music. So it still took 8 to 10 hours. So it is a lot of work. Okay, where did choir originate? I think the bottom line is that people have always been singing.
Ooh.
People have always been singing, right? So since ancient days, since Bible times, okay, people were singing. Music was always a part of community. And then in the Middle Ages, in the European history, it was a very dark time, obviously, on the earth. It was. It's called the Dark Ages for a reason. People were oppressed. There were no allowances made. People were not allowed to be creative and express themselves and stuff like that, etc. And the only music that really existed in the Middle Ages in Europe was the monks in the cathedral, in the church, in the monastery. What do you call it? Monasteries. Yeah, and in the churches. And only the men were allowed to sing. So there were all these monks who sang all these Gregorian chants and stuff and whatever. You're distracting me. I'm trying to give a
I'm sorry.
sensible answer.
This is definitely a question in it for the prize.
Okay, just hold. Just hold.
Carla is
off.
asking.
No, hold off on Carla. Let me answer this question
Okay.
first. Then in the Renaissance, when people decided we are not going to do this anymore, there was this whole revival of creativity and in everything. I mean, if you look at Renaissance art and stuff, it's incredible. It was people went totally overboard again. But then there was a lot of lots of composers came out, and then they had these singing groups. They would get together at lunchtime, and instead of having a beer at lunchtime and a burger, they would sing. People would sing. It's called madrigals. We call it madrigals these days. The madrigals were like the pop songs, but it was like folk tunes and stuff that people sang. And then composers started to write madrigals. And I think the choir as we know it, ensemble singing as we know it, as an art form, really, please don't take this as the whole truth and nothing but the truth. This is what I think based on my knowledge, but I think really started in the Renaissance.
We're going to play you a song from that area a little bit later as well.
Correct. Okay,
sorry.
question 2.
I want to get to Carla's question.
Carla who?
Carla.
Carla Lutz.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay.
She's asking if you sang in the very first choir, Mr. Bester.
He did, actually. I have a video of it.
Oh, in the Viva la Musica.
No, in the very first,
Oh,
in the choir history that you've just told us.
Carla.
With the monks.
With the monks. Did
Carla?
you sing in that, Mr. Bester?
Carla.
You're old enough.
Dit is 'n terrible vraag. Did I sing in the very first? I'm even writing it down. Like, how gullible am I? Are you making this up?
No, it's
It's here in the chat.
That is
She asked-
terrible. Carla, no.
You're awesome. I vote for you.
You are awesome, but that's really not very nice.
Okay.
No.
A serious question from Miss Awkward. Asking, and this is a really good question, how do we get it to sound like everybody is together? And that's all just a little bit of trickery on our side when we do the editing, and it has a lot to do with something called reverb. And the reverb we use to make it sound like all of you are in the same room. Now the reverb is almost like the bit of an echo you can hear if you're in a big hall or a big space. That almost a little bit of an echo, that's what we call the reverb. And by manipulating that and adding that, we make it sound like you guys are in one room. And then we go a step further. In most of my mixes, I actually arrange you guys in 3 rows. I put them in a row 1, a row 2, and a row 3. And in the final mix, row 1 is the loudest, row 2 a little bit softer, row 3 a little bit softer, as it would be on stage, theoretically. And now we're talking about very small increments here. And then the reverb, the people in the back row, their reverb is more than the people in the front row. That just creates that depth so that it doesn't just sound like one line of singers. It actually sounds like a whole choir standing in front of you. So that's all just a little bit of careful trickery on our side, digitally, to make you guys sound like you're all in the same room.
Yeah.
But that's a really good question.
Yeah, it is a very good question, Miss Awkward. Very good question indeed. Okay, so after the success that we had with Viva la Musica, and also I had some feedback from friends of mine who are in the industry, who have worked in video production and stuff for many years, who said, wow, it's really professional, it looks really good, the quality is very good. People can't believe that the audio was recorded with phones, right? And put together in the editing by our skilled Henry and our skilled Mr. Janus, who sits here next to me. So we decided, okay, if this is just a choir piece that we took because we had it, right? So then we thought, okay, let's do that with every one of our choirs. So we have like 7 or something virtual choir videos that will come out in the next 6 weeks or so, which is very exciting. So each of our school choirs, you all know that we're working on it with you guys, hey? We're working on a song. I must say, the kids say they find it hard to sing one song at a time.
Yes. But it's also tough for us to listen to one song at a time.
Exactly.
I mean, the amount of times I've heard something like a round of 3 country dances is insane.
Yeah.
When I go sleep at night, that's what I hear.
Yeah.
Off the fire.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. So
Almost like that.
we needed
Just a
that.
bit better.
Not really. The thing is, we actually, after a while, start going, I don't want to hear that song anymore, you know, but this is the journey, guys. So remember in community choir, we had a choir rehearsal of, let's say, 2 hours or 3 hours a week. We could have 3 or 4 or 5 different pieces of repertoire that we work on simultaneously. We can go, okay, let's work on this one a bit. Yeah, okay, that's enough of that. Let's do this one. And the variety was so nice, right? But now that we're doing it online or virtually, we really have to start, work on, rehearse, record, complete one song at a time. I hope that makes sense to you. There's really no other way to do it. We can't sensibly work on 3 or 4 pieces of music with any one choir at the same time. We have to complete the project, move on to the next one. Yeah, so yeah, then we decided let's go for it. And the first school choir,
Yes.
virtual choir video that we completed was wow, that was
Are you feeling okay then?
that was a terrible sound effect. This is what I wanted to say. Anyway,
Danny, can we just get a proper sound effect, please? Because he scares me when he does that.
okay,
I
we'll
don't
get
have
that.
one right now.
We'll get that ready for next time. Was the King's School, Robin Hills High School Choir. Exactly with what Mr. Fenter said, a piece from the late Renaissance, early Baroque era. It is called A Round of 3 Country Dances in One, which is mentioned already. And the cool thing about this song is that it's actually 4 songs in one. Well, it's 3 folk songs, country dances, because they had a dance for each song in those times. And so it starts out with one voice group inviting the other voice groups into the song. And so you hear one song, and in this case the basses begin, and then they invite the others into their song, and then you hear the next song come on top of that as another layer, and the next and the next. And ultimately what is so cool is you hear 4 songs at the same time, but at the same time they make harmony. In other words, they happen directionally or horizontally. You hear a melody, but they also line up vertically to make beautiful harmony. So that is a really, really cool kind of composition, which is early Baroque, late Renaissance. So shall we have a look at that now?
I think we need to say that we launched this last week only. This week, that's passed. On Tuesday
4
night.
days ago. Yeah.
And it is the song or the video with the most views in the shortest amount of time on our
Exactly.
channel.
Yeah.
So we are super proud of the song. We are super proud of my singers. Guys at King's,
Yeah.
you guys were absolutely incredible. We are really proud of you
Yes.
for this video. But I think
job.
let's show everyone. Have a look. This is what it looks like.
Sing after, fellows, as you hear me, a toy that seldom is seen. Sing after, fellows, as you hear me, a toy that seldom is seen. 3 country dances in one to be a pretty conceit, as I ween. 3 country dances in one to be a pretty conceit, as I ween. Sing
Robin Hood, and Little John, cantos before the Queen.
Sing
Robin Hood, and Little John, cantos before the Queen. In a red petticoat and a green jacket, a white goes and a green. In a red petticoat
The breath is in my first soul. Nobody will find the arena. And if I had some stuff that's more, oh, likely than more, I see now. And in the restaurant, you can die. Hey, hold the friend call. Hey, hold the friend call. Hey, hold the friend call. The grandpa. The breath is in my first home. Nobody will find the arena. And if I write some stuff at home, I'm likely there's all I see now. And in the restaurant you can die. Hey, roll the sand toy. Hey, in the restaurant you can die. Hey, roll the sand toy. Grandma.
Right, so what did you guys think? Tell us in the chat. I can see there's a lot happening in the chat at the moment, so tell us what you think. And for those of you that have not joined our YouTube channel yet, please do so immediately or right after you've watched us here. Please join this channel. Subscribe. It's down below us at the moment. Please hit the subscribe. Our aim is at this point to release a new video at least every week or every second week. You guys have to get in on this action. Please subscribe to our channel, activate the notifications so that you know whenever we launch something new.
Yeah, because like I said earlier this week to one of my choirs, it benefits all the choirs in our Charisma Performing Arts Network when there are more subscribers, more views, because YouTube's algorithms pick it up and they send more people to our channel. They suggest our videos to more people, and that's just going to give you a bigger audience. That's actually what it's about.
Exactly. Yeah.
It builds our business, but it gives you a bigger audience. I mean, if we could have, now think about this, a choir festival in the old days. Let's call it the old days. And not when I was a boy, like last year, okay? At a choir festival, maybe there would be 300 or 400 people, maybe if you're in a very nice venue, 500-600 people, who will hear you sing for 10 or 15 minutes. So you would have reached 400 or 500 people for 15 minutes, and then the moment is gone, sort of thing. I'm not saying we can ever replace that, because there's nothing like a live performance. But just think about this. In a virtual setting like this, on a platform like YouTube, and all the other platforms that are out there, we have a potential audience of millions of people. Yeah. If we can create the right content, if you send in good quality audio and video, and we can make fantastic virtual choir projects, this is going to make millions and millions of people want to watch. And you will have that on there for as long as YouTube exists. Do you know what I mean?
Think about it. Kings, you guys, the biggest audience we've ever performed in front of was at the Charisma Choir Spectacular last year.
400 people, yeah.
And that was 400 people. I'm just, side note, I'm getting questions about the Charisma Choir Spectacular, whether we're going to do that, because it was postponed this year. And the answer is yes, we definitely want to still do our Charisma Choir Spectacular. As soon as we are physically possible, we will be doing it. And it's the same for choir camps. I'm getting lots of questions about choir camps. Yes, guys, as soon as we are physically possible, we will be doing those things. Physically able, we definitely will be doing those things again.
Yeah, and then we have to say, once we can go back to community choir, in other words, meeting in the same room every week and doing camps and doing choir festivals and stuff, we will be continuing to run online choirs.
That's
Because-
important.
Because there's just such a big world that opened up with the whole online thing.
But we're going to tell them more about that in our next session, about what the future is.
Yeah.
Still a little bit of the past, because we've been holding up. We've been going here for over an hour already, and there's still something very exciting we want to show you.
Yes,
But in the next live stream we're going to do, we're going to tell you a little bit more about what is the future of the Charisma choirs. Where are we going? And that includes things for our very immediate future, like moving over to Discord. For those of you that haven't installed it yet, please do so ASAP. So we'll be telling you about where we headed, but we'll do that in our next session. We have $500 to give away, and we still have something very cool to show you. Mr.
Yeah.
Bester?
Shall we do that now?
The trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think
before
so.
you play it, let me just say, this Charisma Children's Choir that I was talking about, that I launched at the end of last year, we have been working on a song that I wrote called What About Us for the last 3-4 months, actually, and turned it into a very, very beautiful video project. And we are going to premiere this video Tuesday night. But Danny put together a little trailer just to give you a little taste. Have a look at this. So there you go. All you KCC members who've been waiting so anxiously to see the end results, because we filmed some of this a long time ago, and so on. But it's turned out to be a fantastic, as you could tell, dramatic, powerful audio-visual experience. And I really want to encourage everybody. And listen, you can let your uncles and aunties and friends and your extended family, let everybody know about the premieres. Just send them the link that we send you on Discord and or WhatsApp. Send people the link so they can watch the premieres with us, because it creates interest. There's lots of if there's lots of activity on our channel, it is good. It is good for us. It opens more and more doors for us.
No, it's good for all of us.
Yeah.
Remember, we are one big family. Even though we are in different choirs, we're all part of the Charisma Network. So we're all in one big family. Now, Mr. Bester, I can't keep up with the questions here at the moment.
But let's just answer one or two more live.
Yes,
I think.
Yes, yeah.
So, is it Vasi Naidu?
Bossy.
Vasi Naidu asked the question. They asked, will we be doing a project where all the choirs in our Charisma Network is part of one big project? Now, we have once or twice sort of briefly, we have talked about that, because, of course, Eric Whittaker, many of you will know Eric Whittaker's virtual choir things that he started in 2010. So his latest virtual choir video, go check it out, has got 13,000 singers in it. Okay, so it is possible. I don't know how big a computer you need to handle all of that audio and all of that video, but we will be looking into that. It will be nice to do a combined project. Hey,
I'd absolutely love it.
to have Jeppy in it, Aurora in it, Fairland, Wordison,
The La Salle, the
Charisma choirs,
whole work.
everybody. That'll be cool.
And especially Kings after they've launched their first
Yeah.
video. So all of our choirs.
We will.
in one
We
video.
will.
I
we
love
will,
the idea.
We will think about that, how we're going to do that, and then get you all to work together. So that was a really good question. Thanks for that. And then somebody else asked, Chocolate Lover. That's the somebody. Chocolate Lover asked, why does old people's voices sound different?
Elderly people.
Elderly people.
Yes. Why do their voices sound different, and why do elderly people's vocals not work as well?
Okay, so the simple answer is your sound is produced by most of you know, two tiny little muscles, which we call
George and Susie.
George and Susie. Okay, they can open and close and they vibrate. So they sit right here in your behind your larynx. They are two very tiny little muscles. Okay, like any muscles, if you don't keep the muscles flexible, they stop being flexible. That was a great explanation. They stop working optimally. Okay, so I use this example. There's a famous soprano called Kiri Takanawa from New Zealand. Okay, she was one of the biggest sopranos of the previous century. She's still alive. And I saw her sing live when I lived in Australia. She was 67 years old. Okay, she sang the same kind of repertoire and more difficult than I've heard her sing on the recordings that I have at that age, and she could still do it. Why? Because she kept the muscles flexible. So most older people, like say 70s and older, all their muscles in their legs, their arms, everything, if they don't keep it, well, that's true for all of us actually.
Yeah.
For me as a 49-year-old, for him as a 38-year-old, for him as a 23-year-old, if we don't keep our muscles flexible, we feel it, right? If you all of a sudden have to pick up something heavy or all of a sudden start running, you can feel a muscle complaining because it's not used to it. So it's the same with the voice. These are muscles that you have to keep active. If you keep them active, you will be able to sing well until you're very old. Your voice will change a little bit. Most people's voices get a little bit darker as they get older. Almost everybody, I'll say.
Yeah.
So even if you're a light soprano or a light tenor as a 20-year-old, you could still be a tenor as a 70-year-old, but it'll be a bit of a darker sound. I don't actually know what's the word? Physiologically what happens, but yeah, you can sing well. So old people normally sing like that, like with a massive wobble, right? We call it vibrato.
Danny, can you tell us how many people have just left this live stream?
Nobody left.
After he did that.
No, because
3 people left.
because I'm singing, people will come. I will sing. No, so
Please don't do it again.
okay. So people do these have these uncontrolled vibratos when they get older, because the muscles don't have flexibility anymore. That is the answer to that
Okay,
question.
next
Very good
question.
question. Yeah, one more.
And you need to write this down. It's one of my favorites. How do you know what song is right for a choir? And that's
Ooh.
from Mackenzie.
Ooh.
And I
Why don't you
absolutely love
start?
the question because technically we don't. It's all a little bit of educated guessing, and it has a lot to do with the personality of the choir. Every single choir has a very different personality and a very different vibe and a very different feel.
Because of the
And-
individuals
Yes,
that make up the
obviously,
choir.
yes.
Yeah.
So I choose music based on my choir's skill level.
Yeah.
First of all, all choirs aren't exactly the same in terms of skill level, but then more importantly, based on my choir's personality. And then Mr. Bester and I will discuss it for ages before we actually decide to use something. I mean, I'm already starting to think and work on music that my choirs can sing next year. So it's a very long process, but it all depends on the character and the quality of our individual choirs.
Yeah. And we get better at it as we go, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I've been doing choirs for 29 years, so I'm better at it now than I was in my 20s. Because then I would go, oh, I love this piece. I think my choir should sing it. And then they sing it, and I love it, but the singers don't maybe, or it just doesn't sound right, or the audience goes, that was a, not so great choice. And we learn, because it's hard.
And
I still choose sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes we do still get it wrong.
Yeah.
And we choose something that doesn't really work for our choir, but we normally drop that fairly quickly.
Yeah.
But it purely depends on the choir and their makeup and their personality.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so what I think we're going to do now is we're going to take a 5-minute break.
Before that, one more question that has a very quick answer.
Okay.
And this is from Sinelo, and she's asking, if we didn't work with choirs, what would we do?
Ooh.
And the simple answer is nothing. We wouldn't be doing anything else. We absolutely love what we're doing. This is what we were born to do. So there is nothing else we'd be doing. We want to work
Okay,
with
but-
choirs.
No, I agree, but she really wants to know if if you were never exposed to choir and you didn't know about choirs, what would you do?
Well,
What
before
would your
I
job? Yeah, tell them.
came into music,
That
I
is-
used to be
Listen, this is crazy.
I used to be a game ranger. I used to work on a game lodge, and I was a game lodge manager eventually. I used to live in Limpopo, and my standard day would be getting out of my house to find the elephants in my yard again, and not being able to get to the office because these things are here. So I used to be a game ranger, and then started a little music school, or as part of a community project for Legend Lodges, and I taught young people how to play drums and sing choir and play the marimba, and we had a little performance group, and that's when I decided, wow, this is what I
This
need
is
to
your
do with
thing.
my life.
Yeah.
And I left the lodge industry and I moved back to the city to become a full-time music teacher. So I reckon I might have still been in the bush.
Because you loved it,
As
right?
I absolutely loved it. I really
If you
did.
think he looks distracted now with his computer on the side, you should see him when there's a bird making a sound. Like he totally checks out. Like it's just zonk. Have you seen Up? The movie Up?
No.
You must watch it. There's a dog that goes squirrel, and then he's so distracted, and every time he thinks he sees something, he freezes and he goes squirrel. That's what Johannes is like when he hears an interesting bird noise, and his knowledge about the birds and the plant life is incredible.
Okay,
So I
but then
think that's a good answer.
what would you do?
What would I do if I wasn't a music educator?
Ah.
Well, one of your choir members once came up to me at Aurora. She was quite little. I can't remember who it was. And she yanked on my shirt like this. She said, "Mr. Bester." I said, "Yes." She said, "If you weren't a choir conductor, you should have been a comedian." And she, straight face, no lies. And she walked away and I was like, I think that's a I don't know. I'm not sure.
Are you trying to tell us that if you couldn't be a choir conductor, you'd be a comedian, Mr.
No, that's what the child said. Okay.
That's hilariously funny.
You see, I am very funny. Ne? Okay, no, I actually don't know. I love helping people, so I think I would love to be a counselor, actually.
Or a doctor. You write like a doctor.
Yeah, but blood. Ugh, I can't. Well, I have when I needed to, but I don't
Blood.
like blood, yeah.
You have blood. I should hope so.
I have
Okay.
I
Listen.
have dealt with bleeding people and not vomited and
Okay.
passed out,
Listen,
okay?
Let us know in the chat if you also have blood.
Thanks,
All right.
Daniel.
We need to look at all these questions quickly.
Yes.
We want to really give away that $500. We have some amazing questions already.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to take a quick 5-minute break just to look at all of this. Danny is going to put a timer on for you, so go grab something else to drink. Run to the bathroom. We'll see you back in 5 minutes. We'll answer some more questions, announce the winners, and
then
that will
that's
be
it.
it for today.
Yeah.
All right, so Danny,
So do come back, because if you don't hear that you won, you're not going to get the 500 rands. Yay, we're back to finish this thing off. So we got some really nice questions from you guys. For instance, how do you know if someone is right for a choir? How do we know, Mr. Venter?
Well, obviously you guys are all very well accustomed to our audition process and how we work in auditions. It depends a lot on your voice, obviously. This is a choir after all. But it also depends on what your personality is like. Would you fit with a specific choir? And what the voices of the rest of the group sounds like. But then it all gets calculated. It's all done on Excel spreadsheets, working out averages. When we do auditions, we actually give you a score for everything that we then all put together. And we take depending on the average of a particular choir, we'll take, for example, the top 60 people that we had in auditions. But so it depends greatly on your voice, first of all, and then on your personality.
Yeah, so in the audition, we not only try to assess your musicality and your voice, but also can you take instruction?
Yeah,
How do you respond
Yeah.
to us, right?
we're
Yeah.
trying to get a feel for who you are as a person. It doesn't help you have an incredible voice, but we can't connect. We can't work with you.
Yeah.
So-
But I must say, at school, choir level especially,
Mm.
we want to give every person an opportunity that we think has
The potential.
the voice, the musicality, and a willingness to learn and to grow. Yeah. So that was a good question. That was from Annalisa as well. Yeah. Then Ewan asked, where's Ewan's question? What is the attributes of a good choir? Well, a good choir is an ensemble. So remember, ensemble means multiple people together. Is an ensemble where every individual member has a good understanding of the music, of the content they are trying to bring across, where every singer sings in their best sound. So if we have 60 people singing together and each individual makes their best quality sound, you're going to have a beautifully sounding choir. A good choir is a choir where there's great unity overall, like in the team, connection-wise, but also unity in the sound. In other words, the way the vowels are shaped, the timing of things, the way people breathe, where we phrase, which means where we break for breaths, where the music wants to breathe. So there's lots of different things. And then a good choir will sing the right repertoire for
Yes.
that choir. I have heard good choirs sing the wrong repertoire and then they don't sound like a good choir. So thanks for that, Annalisa. That was a good question. And then one more that I just want to answer quickly, and that is Nicole asked, what does charisma mean? Now, I derived my company's name, Charisma Performing Arts, from the original word, Greek word charis, which actually means grace, okay, which is interesting. But according to the dictionary, charisma, the original spelling like CH, compelling attractiveness or charm that can inspire devotion in others. So that's sort of a general charm, presence, aura. That's what people generally refer to as charisma. But actually, like I said, the root word for charisma is charis in Greek, which means grace. So for me, charisma is a grace that I received and that people receive to bring others in. It's a humble confidence to draw other people in. That's what that means, and that's why I decided to include that word in my company's name. So that was awesome. I think.
Nicole says it's the perfect name, by the way.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. Yeah, I think
One more quickly.
it's tricky to decide on
yeah.
the winner. Hey.
Okay, here's one more quick. Uspile is asking if the two of us didn't know one another, would the choirs we conduct be different? So, would our choirs be different to what they are now if you and I never reconnected? And the short answer is just
Absolutely.
yeah, huge yes.
Yeah. Remember your choir's personality, like Mr. Fenter said, a choir's personality comes from the individuals in the choir, obviously, but it comes hugely, or is usually dependent, excuse me, on the personality of your conductor. So even the Jeppe choir, before I was their conductor, they had a different conductor, they had a different personality. The Woodisson choir, all the choirs that I've taken over from other people, the nature, the character, the personality of the choir changed. So definitely the choirs would have been different if they had a different conductor. That's a good question.
And also, if the two of us didn't connect, the influence we're having on one another's choirs are very significant.
Yeah, it is.
One more that I really like, Mr. Bester, and that is Comfort asking about the different shapes of vowels from our variety of languages to try and get a common sound.
Wow.
Yes.
I just want to say, congratulations, Comfort. You are the winner of today's $500. Woohoo! We are so happy because you asked a very intelligent question. I love that question. Okay, so the fact of the matter is, it depends on where we come from in the world, right? So people who have, for instance, Indian heritage, when they speak, their mouth, the shape of their mouth, the position of their tongue, even some physiological build things inside can be different from, let's say, somebody who has ancestry just in Africa, like a Zulu person, for instance. Which will be different from a person like an Afrikaner like myself, who has my ancestry being Germans. Then it also depends on culture, because an Indian person, or somebody who is of Indian descent, but they third or fourth generation South African, it won't have such a big effect on the shape of their vowels when they speak or sing, right? So it depends. It depends on culture. I mean, I lived in Australia, like I said, and the Australians, the way they speak is just so different. Like, it's a real lazy mouth, mate. It's all good and also wow, 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 like that. And so the tongue is very lazy. They don't create a lot of space generally. I found it actually much harder to teach Australian kids to sing beautifully than South African kids. I love the Australian kids, but it's a language thing. So it's a physiological thing, DNA, heritage. It's a language thing, so all the vowels are different. That's why we have to take a lot of time and care to teach you how to hear the vowels correctly. Because if you sing together, you had a oo and a and a in that, right? But if you make your best oo and vowel, and the people next to you do, we will get a nice homogenic sound, a sound where the vowels mix really well. But it is a challenge, hey? Let's just be real.
Yeah. No, sure.
If you have way different kinds of cultures and languages together, who have not been trained, I should say, in the same way, then it is actually quite tricky to blend.
Yes.
For the voices to mix beautifully. So, Comfort, that was an excellent question. That's why you won the 500 rands today.
And that's Comfort from Jeppy, from Izimpande, by the way.
Go Jeppy!
Go
Izimpande. That's amazing. So guys, yeah, wow. How quickly the time went by. Like I said, I've got 2 pages left. So,
No, Mr. Bester, please.
so what we decided is we're going to do another one of these very soon, okay? So we'll decide now afterwards. We'll just look at our calendars and make a plan. But we sort of have to do episode 2 of, so we sort of started with where we came from and what our history was with choir. And we sort of just got onto what online choir is and how we stumbled into it, but how we are now seeing all these possibilities. But we really want to tell you more about that and the actual process of how it works. And then I want to invite everybody who's watching. You can become a part of the Charisma online choirs. Even if you're singing a school choir, but you want to do this as an extra. You just love singing in choirs and you just want to sing more and you want to be involved more. It's like an extension opportunity for you. You can become a member of either the Charisma Children's Choir if you're 10 to 13 or the Charisma Singers if you're 14 years and older. And just if you are tired of singing one song for 5 or 6 weeks and you want to do 2, join another choir. So we want to talk about all of that a bit more. And then in the meantime, let me just remind you, please, to watch Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock, the What About Us premiere. It's going to be epic. It's going to be awesome. And I would love to see hundreds and hundreds of people in that first viewing on the premiere. So thanks, Mr. Venter.
Thanks, Mr. Bester. It was loads of fun. And while you guys are on here, when we leave now, please go check out the other videos we have that are on our channel. There is a little bit about how we work, what the process is. Please go check out all the other videos we have, and remember to subscribe. The link is below.
Very important. And then there was a question, people want to know what Danny looks like. So he said next time. He will show you next time what he looks like. He will dress for the occasion, okay? Danny is an awesome team member. Thanks, Danny, for making this whole live stream work for us, getting it all set up. There is the link to our website on the screen now for you to go and have a look at how the online choirs work. Really do go and check it out. But thanks, lots of love to all of you guys. Thanks for sharing this time with us. It was so cool to do our first live stream, and we're looking forward to many, many more and exciting things to come in the future. Cheers.
What do you think about when you look at me? I know we're not the fairy tale you dreamed we'd be. You wore the veil, you walked the aisle, you took my hand, and we dove into a mystery. How I wish we could go back to simpler times, before all our scars and all our secrets were in the light. But on this hallowed ground we've drawn the battle lines. Will we make it through the night? It's going to take much more than promises this time. Only God can change our minds. Maybe you and I were never meant to be complete. Can we just be broken together? If you can bring your shattered dreams and I'll bring mine, can healing still be spoken and save us? The only way we'll last forever is broken together. How it must have been so lonely by my side. We were building kingdoms and chasing dreams and left love behind. I'm praying God will help our broken hearts align, and we won't give up the fight. It's going to take much more than promises this time. Only God can change our minds. Maybe you and I were never meant to be complete. Could we just be broken together? If you can bring your shattered dreams and I'll bring mine, can healing still be spoken and save us? The only way we'll last forever is broken together. Maybe you and I were never meant to be complete. Could we just be broken together? If you can bring your shattered dreams and I'll bring mine, could healing still be spoken and save us? The only way we'll last forever is broken together.